If you've ever filmed a video alone, you know how limiting your shots can be without somebody to film you. And this little drone is trying to change that. This is the HOVERAir X1 drone from Zero Robotics.
Seriously?
I've been piloting drones for 4 years now, and in a lot of ways, this stands to change the game for what it means for future drone consumer technology. But is it worth all the hype? Today, we're gonna find out.
Stop. Oh, okay.
So right out of the main box, there's only really 4 things you get. There's of course the drone itself, packaged in nicely and folded neatly, a USB-C to USB-A cable for charging, this nice little bag to keep the drone in, just a basic bag, and then the user manual. Besides your phone, that's pretty much all you're going to need to fly this thing. The original price of the HOVERAir X1 was $429, but currently there's a sale for it going for $350 for the drone and the battery. It's actually, yeah, the size of a pancake, and then you fold it, this thing becomes basically the size of a phone. Here's my iPhone 15 Pro Max. It's slightly wider than it, but it's shorter too. And it absolutely fits in my pockets, just like that, easy. Talking about the weight a little bit, any drone that is under 250 grams can get away with a lot more, including registration. This thing comes in at 125 grams, which is extremely light for a drone. Even some of my custom-built FPV drones, which are designed to be lighter to be able to fly at concerts and in higher populated areas, this thing is still like half the weight of these guys. So for a flying camera that is almost as small as and lighter than your phone, this is pretty great. You're not losing much by carrying this in your bag or in your pocket. To get the most out of this drone, you're supposed to use the Hover X1 app, which allows you to control the drone as well as review and download footage from it. On the drone itself is this cute little camera, and it can actually shoot at 2.7K 30 frames per second, 1080p at 60 frames per second, and 1080p in vertical mode, which is 9:16, the exact format for social media. It's also equipped with this one-axis electronic gimbal that can tilt up and down, controlled by the drone itself, as well as a dampened gimbal for stabilized shots in real time. The drone also includes one battery, which is this cute little guy. I believe it's a 2S 1050 milliamp hour battery. It's advertised to last about 11 minutes. We'll see how that actually fares in tests. To test this, the HOVERAir X1 has some current features built into it that we can run and see how it fares. So let's get out there and try it.
Okay, so we're gonna try to shoot most of the A-roll of this video on the HOVERAir X1 and see what happens. Because the cool thing about this drone is actually the audio records while you're flying. So let's see how this goes. So let's take a look at the app. Okay, so we're here on the Hover X1 app, and you can see there's a bunch of videos other people post, which is pretty cool. Hold it in your hand. The gimbal calibrates, I think. Yeah, it's calibrating. And then
current mode, hover.
And then it tells you what mode it's on. Now I'm going to showcase you the many features and different modes of flying that the HOVERAir X1 has. I'm actually quite surprised with what it has. I assumed it'd have like 3 types. So these are the different modes that we've got for the hover. Let's see. There's a nice little, here we go. There's a nice little tab here that shows all the flight modes. It's pretty cute. Little mascot ghost thing. Currently there's 10 features that the hover can do. And actually, I think they added more since it came out, which is really cool. So they're still adding new flight modes for users to have. You gotta see your face for it to be able to take off. All right, there we go. That's cool. I should probably get it to come towards me. Let's jump over that rock. I think it's taking my audio as well from the phone, which is really, really cool. So the main thing about hover is it stays static in one place, and then you can go wherever you want, and the drone's supposed to track you. You can see it's not super fast. I mean, I guess I could run a little bit. Can I outrun it? Oh, it's doing pretty well actually. But I think I'm like in the corner of the frame. If I step a little further away, I think it'll track me better. And if I just go at a walking pace versus like a running pace and like jump over the rock. Okay, that's enough of that. This is the next mode of the HOVERAir X1. It's called the zoom out, where it tracks you and it flies out a certain amount of distance for what you can set in the app. Oh, it's coming back. That's really cute. I love that. Now recording, and it'll just go back into its thing while it keeps the audio on me while I'm holding the phone. Holy crap. Uh-oh. Oh, all right. I think it detected an obstacle. Okay, it's coming back. It ran into some trees. Okay, that was a good real life test because if you see behind me, the drone, when I flew it, it ran to this tree bush. I didn't even think about that. Some drone pilot I am. I nicked it very slightly. I thought it was gonna start to descend, but it actually started coming back exactly the way it came, so it wouldn't get further stuck. So that was actually pretty good on HOVERAir X1's account. Good real life test. We've gotten 2 features down. Let's keep trying. The other feature, I think this is one of the more impressive features that the HOVERAir X1 has, which is the follow mode. The wind is pretty strong, so you can kind of see it struggling here. The perfect real life test. So let's go ahead and try it. I'm gonna run around, throw the walk. It's supposed to be following me pretty close. I like this angle, it's lower. It's funny because the DJI drone won't even allow you to fly this height because I think it wants to be safe, but this drone is super safe. Like the, what's it called? The prop guards are super solid. They're like this rubber, so even if it touches something, it's just gonna bounce off. We're gonna go through this to see if it can figure its way out through it. Oh goodness, wow. Seriously? Okay, HOVERAir. That was pretty good. Something a little deeper. Something a little deeper is. All right, so that was actually not a bad test. I did a little test. I didn't run very fast, but I went through those gates over there and it followed me through the first time. The second time, it bumped slightly and then it just kind of bumped off and it slowly landed. It wasn't anything dramatic. So yeah, pretty impressed with how this thing is doing so far. Let's try running a little bit more. All right, now for the next obstacle course. The playground, let's try it. Make an embarrassment of myself in public for you guys. Round 2, let's go. All right, walking, running. Can you still track me? Yep, you can still track me, that's pretty good. All right, yep, still following me? That's pretty good. It's like drifting really hard, which is really impressive. Okay, now for the next test. Good stop. All right, can you make it up here? Huh? Are you gonna crash into something? Come on. Oh, I almost fell. Okay, now what? Let me go down. Okay, it lost me. It's just sitting there now. I guess it can't discern me from everything else at the current moment. Hello? Nope, it's done. Okay, so I was running around and it was tracking me pretty good, but once I entered the playground, it came in with me, and then I don't know what happened, but it kind of lost track of me. I think I either got too close or I blended in way too much with too many details of the play structure. All right, the next feature I want to show with this guy is the orbit feature. You just stand in the center and it's supposed to circle you, like a basic drone orbit. Let's just start with this basic area first for the hover. Just pushed out 5 feet, now it's rolling. It's circling me. And I don't have to do anything, I just stand there, which is cool. Pretty cool. Nice to not have to do anything for once. That was really cool. I'm impressed. Let's try it one more time. I want to go on to the playground and see if it'll work. Yep, still tracking me. I think I set the distance, 8 feet, pretty good, because it's not crashing into anything. If I set it closer, it probably would have ran into one of these columns. Sick, very nice. It maintained altitude really well, actually. Okay, after reviewing the footage, it looks pretty good. Like, I'm very impressed. There's not GPS in this thing, so it has no business being super visible. But happy 4th of July, by the way. I hope. You never know in the US. We're not having GPS in it for being a $500 drone. 2.7K, auto features, self-flying, doing good so far. The next feature we're going to test out is called the bird's eye mode. And this is essentially where the drone points straight down and locks down on the target and flies straight up, is what it's supposed to do. I haven't tested the feature yet, but I want the shot to look interesting, so I'm just gonna go for a more risky shot, which is where I'm gonna stick between the trees and have it push up. Let's see how it does. All right, here we go. All right, uh-oh, that's not good. Oh, it's tracking me, that's sick. Okay, it's stable. Okay, that looks really good. I'm happy with how that looks. There is this nice parallax top-down effect that you can't really get without a drone or by yourself. So that's actually a pretty cool feature, and I'm impressed with how stable it was throughout the entire process. Didn't fly into a tree. All right, this next mode we're gonna try out is called the Dolly Track, and I believe this is the opposite of follow, where the drone, instead of following you from the back, the Dolly Track, the drone will follow you from the front and will do its best to fly blindly. I believe there's no obstacle sensors on the back to capture you at your speed. So yeah, I have a couple ways I want to test this. Let's see how it goes. All right, and then it just basically follows you kind of high, but yeah, it basically just lets it track you while you talk. This is actually pretty impressive. I think you can actually kind of guide the drone where you want it to go by walking around. Never mind, it's staying on the same track. Okay, come back. Come back. Oh, this is great. This is basically follow mode. Now, well, let's see. Let's park it backwards like this. Oh yeah, this works. And then we can push back the other way, keep talking. And hopefully it doesn't fly into something. The great thing about this mode is at least I can keep an eye on it while I'm walking forward. This is actually really, really cool. I could definitely see myself using this function. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with how this is working. Very impressed with that feature. I really like that. I can definitely see myself using that. And I have another way to do it. I'm gonna try it right now. So this time, I'm gonna have this thing follow me on my one wheel. I've always wanted to get more shots of myself. Honestly, this move is not easy to do, even with a drone pilot, because the drone pilot has to be in a position where they can see and make sure the drone isn't gonna crash into something. So this could potentially be a pretty big game-changing function. So let's try it. All right, let's let this guy do its thing. So she's tracking me from the front, still from the front. Oh, this is great. This is sick. Oh, awesome. Keeping up pretty well. I see. The thing is, it's flying blind, which is the most impressive part. I guess I'm in a pretty good terrain for that to happen, and also I'm lucky that it's picking a smart path for it to follow. But yeah, this thing is great. I'm having a good time. All right, stop. Here we go. Follow me back. Let's go. Come on. You know how to follow. Okay, so then you can do some creative shots where you start from the front and then it'll follow you from the back. That is pretty cool. So Dolly Track and follow are essentially the same function, just a little bit more advanced. Okay, cool. There's a stop flying feature where you hold your hands above your head in an X, and it's supposed to detect that and come back to you and stop the film. So yeah, I'm impressed. That was great. So HOVERAir X1 has been releasing updates, and with the updates come new flight modes. And some of them are more advanced, and you can see on the screen that they're actually locked until you do a certain amount of the flight modes to unlock it, like a video game, which is kind of cool. The one that I needed to unlock to show you guys is the, what is this thing called? Tap to unlock. Ready? Boop. Boom, we got it. Side track. Yep. Okay, it's like a track, it's a trucking shot from the right to left or left to right. I'm gonna try to stand as still as possible as I can on this one wheel. Okay. Awesome. Let's go. No? All right, let's go. All right, it's tracking me from like an angle. Uh-oh, it's gonna hit the camera. Ah! Whoa, it went right over it. That was crazy. That was scary. Let's go the other way. Don't hit my camera. Don't hit my camera. All right, we're good, we're good. We're chilling. Okay, we're good. There's another feature that the HOVERAir X1 has called Snapshot. I thought it was pretty gimmicky, but honestly it's pretty funny because it just stands in hover place, and if you strike a pose for about 3 seconds and you hold it still, it will take a photo of you. A little comical in my opinion. Cool feature, especially if you want photos taken of you and you don't have someone to do that for you. The cool thing about this drone is I assumed it was all automated features, so you couldn't really do anything with it, but there is actually a manual control mode where you can use your phone to control, which is cool. But let me just show you why it's not perfect yet. All right, she's up. We've got a list of controls here. We've got a feed. So if I want to go up and backward, oh, it lets me do both at the same time. But the only thing is I can't change the function. Like if I try to slide my fingers on the screen, I can't do anything about it. The sensitivity is not adjustable, so it kind of is just what it is. It's better than nothing. There's still some sort of manual control. There is also an RC remote you can connect to it, but it's literally the same type of controls. You can't do multiple movements and change them at once, which is unfortunate. So if there was anything I would change about future iterations of the HOVERAir X1, this would be one of them. Okay, the last feature that the HOVERAir X1 currently has on hand is called Smart Control or Gesture Control. This basically is a function where it's multiple of the fly modes in one, and you activate the fly mode by using a certain gesture. So I mentioned before that the drone has a landing feature where you put your hands above your head in a gesture and pretty quickly it reads it and comes back to you. There's a couple other features that this drone apparently also has. There's zoom out. It's like this. There we go. I got it. There's orbit, gesture. There we go, it worked. And there's bird's eye. Ready? Yeah, it worked. Oh, that's great. We've done a good amount of testing. Let's go back to the house and debrief.
Now that we've gone out and done some tests, here are my first impressions of the actual usage of this drone. I'll be honest, I saw this drone a lot on social media and I got a lot of requests to review it, and I was skeptical to do so at first because a drone at this price point, when comparing it to DJI or any other reputable drone brands out there, I'm always skeptical because there's a lot of drones out there and a lot of them are not great. But honestly, this thing has been exceeding my expectations. The build itself is nice and light as advertised. I love the setup and how the arms can just fold up and come out like that. It is one of the most efficient drone setups I've seen, even amongst the DJI series. The camera itself is nothing to sing praises about, especially when comparing it to the 4K cameras on a DJI Mini. However, being a 125-gram drone with a 2.7K camera is quite impressive, and honestly, with the footage I was seeing, it's pretty good. Now, my notes I would have on this drone that I wish could be better or better in future versions is, well, of course, hopefully we'll have a 4K camera on this in the future. I also don't think there's any manual control for the camera on here. I believe it's only auto, so I can't adjust ISO or shutter speed or anything like that, which means I can't really get that motion blur, which makes the shots look more cinematic on my FPV and on my camera shots. So in the future, being able to have that would be great, and then maybe some ND filter attachments so that we could put the filters on outdoors and then get that motion blur. It would just upgrade the quality of image that this could get. Honestly, I was surprised. I did not think that this drone was gonna have so many different flight modes on it. I thought it was just gonna have follow from behind. And from what I saw online, it didn't look like it was that great. However, through my experience of testing the Dolly Track mode, which was my favorite, and the side tracking and the bird's eye view, all of these different modes, very, very easy to use for beginners and very functional. I could definitely see a short film being made on this drone entirely, especially the function that I really, really love about this drone is how through the app you can connect to the drone, and while it flies, it's recording your voice. This is like the only drone I know on the market that is actually capturing audio at the same time and using some sort of AI feature to filter out the drone noise, because a huge bottleneck for drone flying and for drone filmmaking is the sound. And while this isn't perfect sound, it sounds like it's been run through some sort of filter. It's something. It's great. It's good for vlogging. It's good for whenever you want to speak while filming. It opens up a lot of doors for people who would like to film video with the HOVERAir X1. The flights was great. It doesn't have GPS or anything installed in this little guy, but it held position really well. And I was in a pretty windy environment and it was still able to position itself, and you could see some jitter, but considering how light this thing is and how it was following me and doing all these different motions, it fared better than I expected, because most drones this weight that I've used just get blown away by the wind immediately. The fact that it also has a downward sensor allows it to know when your hand is out so you can catch it, and it lands very pristinely on your palm. And obviously it isn't perfect. There's only one sensor and the camera can only be so accurate when trying to avoid objects, so it would bump. But when it bumped into things, it was very quick to not make the situation worse. Another reason why I think that this thing is really, really well suited for beginners or people who don't really have much drone experience at all. Do I think it's going to replace actual professional drones that can capture good image? No, absolutely not. However, is this useful and actually provide some utility out in the real filming world? Considering the weight, the size, this thing is really like no sweat off my back to carry on with me. And if I don't want to deal with a bigger drone setup or piloting manually all the time, or know and have something that is just fun that other people can play with, and I can capture pictures and videos and get a secondary or tertiary angle on my vlogs or smaller videos, I really do believe this thing can serve a purpose. The way that I see myself using it is for more run and gun filmmaking when I want to bring a lighter load. This can be really fun to play with even when you're not out in a restricted airspace. And of course for experimentation. Crazily enough, this drone being $350 currently still has a lot of features that my current drones that are way more money don't have. And while the camera quality isn't quite to spec with the others, it being able to essentially be its own cameraman in a lot of ways. I do think there's a lot of value in the direction that this HOVERair X series is going. And I think that if they listen to what consumers want in the future iterations, there is a lot of potential for where this can go. In fact, it's already here. But yeah, what do you think about this little guy? I'm curious. Feels like a toy, flies a lot more competently than you'd think. If you want to take a look at more of the information, you can look at the website. There's a link in my description. Thanks for watching this review. My name is Kai, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Peace.